Question 21. In line 68, the author uses the term bigotry to convey. Where's the term bigotry? There it is in 68. Let's read the paragraph. Indeed, among the many impertinences that superficial young men bring with them from abroad. So, two negative terms that have been used there. Impertinences that superficial young men bring. Superficial, who are not lacking in depth, who just show off but really have no great manners, because this is the chapter on, or the passage on manners. And impertinences, what are they talking about? Normally impertinence means to be rude or to be very sure about yourself, cocksure about yourself. So either of those, right? So let's see what it is that the author is trying to convey, because that's what the question asks. Young men bring with them from abroad. This bigotry of forms is one of the more prominent ones than the rest. So this bigotry of forms, clearly we need to go back to the previous paragraph. So ignorance of forms cannot properly be styled ill manners. The chapters again on manners, good manners, and if the form is not followed, the author is saying it's not ill manners. That is, if you don't know the forms of behavior or manners. Because forms are subject to frequent changes, and consequently, being not founded upon reason, they are beneath a wise man's regard. So he has made it clear that forms is not that important, and therefore it is beneath a wise man's regard. Then he says, they vary in every country, and after a short period of time, very frequently in the same country. So the man who travels must needs be at first a stranger to them in every court through which he passes, and perhaps at his return as much a stranger in his own. He has forgotten what the forms were in his own country. When he goes to a new country, he is totally at a loss about the forms there. And after all, they are easier to be remembered or forgotten than faces or names. They are just so unimportant. That's what he's talking about. But then he talks about the bigotry of forms that is prominent among superficial young men who bring with them from abroad. So these are young men who are coming back from abroad having learned some new forms. These young men look upon them as points of importance. They don't realize that these are not at all important, because they themselves are so superficial, and are therefore zealous on all occasions to introduce and propagate the new forms and fashions they have brought back with them. They have come back to their country, they want to show off that they've acquired these new forms, and so they want to show off. So this is what they're saying, the bigotry. So bigotry of form is that this new knowledge that they have acquired, they show it off, they stick to them, they forever want to show it. So bigotry is the zeal or over-enthusiasm with which they're showing something new they've learned. Let's look at the answer options. Is it the rigidity of a novice? Now, if you don't know the meaning, let's move on to the second one. I'll come back to this later. Flexibility of a beginner. Now, beginner who is flexible, if he's flexible, then he would be ready to change what he's just learned. But a bigot is always rigid. So for two reasons, A could be a possibility. One, because it's the exact opposite of flexibility, and a zealous person is rigid. Even if you don't know the meaning of novice, but novice means beginner. B definitely is wrong, because it's not the flexibility. Enthusiasm of an expert. We're not talking of an expert, though over-enthusiasm is what we are talking about. So C is wrong. And D, strictness of a specialist. Both are wrong. And therefore the answer is, that is, both are wrong in the sense both strictness and specialist. We're not talking about either of them. And therefore the answer is rigidity of a novice.